Hello! Today I will show you how to easily create this mesmerizing audio visual in Unreal Engine 5 using Niagara particles. Now let's get started. I'll go ahead and delete this one so we can make a new one from scratch. Open up your content browser and right-click to create a new Niagara system. Choose an empty emitter and then hit create. Let's call this ns_audio_visual. Double-click to open it. And we can rename this emitter by hitting F2, and I'll just call it audio. And now under properties here, change the sim target from CPU sim to GPU sim. And this is good because we'll be using a lot of particles. And now under calculate bond modes here, change this from dynamic to fixed. And now let's add some particles. So under emitter update here, hit this plus button and add a spawn rate. Let's give the spawn rate a value of 10,000. And now I'm going to turn off this sprite renderer and add a mesh renderer. And I am going to add a cube here. So if you type in cube, you can find SM cube, which is just a default cube. And I found that this gives more of a shadow effect, which makes the visual look better. And so I'm going to check on enable material override. And then under override materials, hit this plus button. Select this drop down menu as well as this one. And now let's create a super simple material to plug into here. So I'm going to go to my materials folder and right click and add a material. Let's call this m_audio. Double click to open it, and all we need to do is right click and add a particle color and connect the RGB to the base color. And this particle color is great because it will allow us later on to control the color of the particles as they age. Now hit apply and exit out. And now let's just drag and drop our material into here. Great. So now let's add a shape location under particle spawn here and change the shape from a sphere to a torus, and then increase the handle radius to 100 to give it a bigger area. I'm also going to increase the surface distribution to 0.5 so it's evenly along the surface. And now the boxes are way too big, so under initialize particle here, go ahead and go to mesh attributes, mesh scale mode, and change this from unset to uniform. And then make the mesh uniform scale 0.1. Now we got little cubes. And while we're here, with this lifetime, let's go ahead and give it a random range float so that the particles age 4 seconds and 6 seconds. After that, they will die. So now let's add some movement. So under particle update here, add a vortex force. Be sure to hit fix issue for saw forces and velocity. And then let's give this a value of 25 and the X value also 25. And now we can see the particles are spinning slightly. We're going to increase this movement by adding a curl noise force. Make the strength 12,000 and the noise frequency 1. Go ahead and check on the pan field, the pan noise field. And I'm going to make the X, Y, and Z values all 0.25. And now the particles are kind of going a bit too crazy, so I'm going to add a drag. And I'm going to give this a value of 18. And nice, the particles are being closer together now, and they look a lot better. So now I'm going to add a scale mesh size, and use this drop-down arrow to make it a vector from curve. And what this will do is as the particles age, it will shrink them, which is nice, so they don't just disappear, they disintegrate. And one more thing we'll add here under particle update is the color that I was talking about earlier. So now use this drop down menu and go ahead and select color from curve. Now this first value here is what the particles will spawn at. So I'm going to give this a dark blue value. And this is what they're die at, and I'm going to make sure that the opacity here is set to 1. And then I'm going to add a few more colors just to spice things up. A light blue, a green, and a yellow. I'm going to make the yellow a little less saturated so it blends to the white better. And now let's see how this is looking. And I'm happy with this. So now we can connect this to our music. So we just need to add a new Scratchpad module, and this will open up a tab over here. So now under map git, hit this plus button and type in audio spectrum. Hit the plus button again and type in velocity and add this particle's velocity. Let's go ahead and pull these over since we need a little bit more space. And drag out from audio spectrum and type in audio spectrum again. Now drag out from velocity and type in multiply to add a multiply node. And then with this amplitude, plug it into the second value in the multiply. Hit the plus button in the multiply to add another value. We need to add a float so that we can plug in a proper value. And this float will multiply the velocity, which is being controlled by the music. And I'm going to give this a value of 1.25. Now, if you're using a really soft sound that doesn't have a lot of bass, I would increase this, and then vice versa. If your song has a lot of bass and is really powerful, I would decrease this. But just keep in mind that this value is super sensitive, so I would only adjust it in small increments. And now the last thing we need to do is go to this map set here and hit this plus button and type in velocity again and find that particle's velocity. And then just plug in the output from the multiply node into that, and then hit apply or else it won't work. So now go back to our systems overview, and with the Scratch module selected, under the submix here, go ahead and use this drop down and find master submix default. And now we're ready to add this to our scene. So I'll go back to my level here, go to my Niagara folder and drag and drop it in. I'll zero out its location. And so in my sequencer here, I've already added some audio, and you can use MP3 files or WAV files. I found that both have worked great. So now I'll just hit play and show you the results. Nice. Now I found this song off Epidemic Sounds, and this website is great if you don't want to worry about copyright. I use them a lot for background music as well. If you want to check them out, I'll leave a link in my description where you can find a 7-day free trial. If you learned something, please like and subscribe. That would help me out a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.